This week we've spent a few days both on remembering and rejoicing, and the third part of our theme is reimagining our future. And one of the great chapters that speaks to reimagining the future is actually in Isaiah chapter 43 and into chapter 44. It's a passage that originally is about the redemption and restoration of Israel after their long time in exile in Babylon. And especially in chapter 43 in verses 15 to 21, you have a wonderful little passage which I encourage you to read. And our verse for the day is verse 19, where God says through the prophet, "I am about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." One of the things that has to be acknowledged about some of us who are long-term Christians is if we're not careful, we can so focus on remembering our past that we cut ourselves off from a reimagined future with God. And the verse before this, in verse 18, God is saying to the people, do not remember the former things or consider the things of old. There is a place for remembering. There's a place for remembering the former things, but sometimes, as God says here and in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, there's a time for letting go. There's a time for releasing. There is a time for something new to come forward. And one of the dynamics of our faith in following Jesus is walking this line of remembering the important things which should never be forgotten or lost, and at the same time being open to when it's time to let go of some things from the past, to be able to embrace the new thing that God may be doing. And this is a theme we see throughout the pages of the Bible. From the Exodus story, there are Israelites who kept wanting to go back to Egypt, even though they were enslaved in Egypt, because it was what they knew and it was familiar, and they were scared to go out into the wilderness. And there's the experience with Caleb and Joshua spying out the land and them coming back and giving a favorable report, but the other 10 leaders saying, no, we can't do it, we're inadequate, the challenges are too big, the people who live there are too strong, we can't beat them, and they refuse to embrace God's new future. So over and over, we see this theme in the Bible. Jesus talks about how new wine must be put in fresh wineskins so that both are preserved, because if you put new wine in old wineskins, when it ferments, the old wineskins will burst. They won't be able to contain the wine, and both are lost. So one of the challenges in our own life and in the life of a church is knowing, what do I need to remember and hold on to? What do I need to let go and release? And what new things may God be doing or wanting to do in my life or in the church that I need to be looking for and perceiving? And that may even mean making rivers in the desert where there is no visible water at all, even when we think what God may be wanting to do seems impossible. God can reimagine the future in ways beyond our comprehension.